This is a community of hugely Somalis. So we'll drive around and I'll show you guys around. Guess what? I am standing behind the biggest, you can see behind me, Ramadan Mubarak. This area is actually outstanding because one of its business nature. So there are a lot of big malls. The Somalis came here as white settlers guard or security. And look at how busy the streets are. Remember, as we continue doing the constituents, this is Kamukunji Constituency, Eastleigh to be particular. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of VWV. If you're new here, please remember to hit that subscribe button. If you're a continued supporter, we celebrate and appreciate you. In continuing doing the Nairobi constituents, I hope you're really loving and enjoying the stories that we are doing on Nairobi constituencies. And I'm also enjoying and learning a lot. And so today, as we continue doing the stories of Nairobi constituency, today, guess what? I am standing behind the biggest mall in Eastern and Central Africa, and that's the BSS Business Center. We hope to one day do a story of that mall. So the reason why I'm shooting, you can see behind me, Ramadan Mubarak. You can see behind Ramadan Mubarak. So it's actually a few. Salamia say, na represent Ugani. Uma Express. Uma Express. Inaenda wapi? Wajia. Yeah, I hope to go to Wajia one of these. These guys represent Uma Express. Umegrow hapa? Yeah, yes. Wapi exactly? Wajia. Yeah. So these guys are going to Wajia, Nairobi. So you can tell actually. So we are headed to the Ramadan week very soon. And so I'm being very respectful of these people's culture. You will see people, I hope you saw those ladies, that are covered in hijabs. Meaning, for me, I really respect these people so much because they respect and honor their culture. So I'm not gonna have our cameraman filming me when I'm walking around, but I still wanna show you guys this constituency. So Eastleigh is in Nairobi constituency, and it's one of the most unique and outstanding places actually in Kamukunji constituency. And what about is this area is actually outstanding because one of its business nature. So there are a lot of big malls. Like I told you, the biggest mall in Eastern and Central Africa right now is Eastleigh. There used to be, what is the name of the mall? Yeah, I forgot. But now this one is really new. I hope one of these days we'll be able to do the story. But this area, just to be specific, this area was established by the colonialists, the British, as an estate, and South African white settlers who came here. And so the Somalis who came here as guards, or what do we call them? Guards or soldiers for these white settlers. And so how it ended up being a Somali area today is there are more than 100,000 Somalis living in Eastleigh. Eastleigh is a business hub. Eastleigh is a place known for the Somalis and the Somali community. And so it's very rich in culture. Maybe during Ramadan I have a Somali friend, Mohan. Shout out to Mohan if Mohan is watching. Maybe one of this time. They also have a mall here. The family is rich. Why am I saying this on camera? Yeah, but Mohan, appreciate you, bro. So The Somalis came here as white settlers guards or security, and they've been able to dominate and to take business to another level here. So it's a very interesting community, and I'm really enjoying every time. There's nothing you lack in community, in the Somali community and Eastleigh at large. I'm being very careful to not film these people because we are headed to the Ramadan week. And so I'll show you guys around how the malls and the business district of Eastleigh is. Like I said, this is a community of hugely Somalis. So we'll drive around and I'll show you guys around. This is the famous Eastleigh roundabout. So you can tell from just around. This is still in Nairobi. As we drive, you can tell the number of malls and tall buildings around here. So the one on the gray is the biggest mall in Eastern and Central Africa. So other than the CBD, I don't know of a place in Nairobi with tall buildings, tall business buildings like Eastleigh. And you see the businesses around here. You see the Somali community around here. And not enough of that, you see there are still more buildings and more structures that are being built around this area. And it's always a busy business district. Always a busy business district. Talk fabrics, talk Chinese stuff. Somalis are known to be good business persons. And so with this mall, I think what the community of the Somalis have been able to do, especially for this country and the young people of this country, is they've created millions and millions of jobs. Because the Somali youth work here, but the Kenyan population also work. A huge population, look at this. A huge population of the Kenyan youth also work for the Somalis here in the Somali community. And in this mall, look at how the Somalis have invested in this area. Look at how they have invested. And you imagine, we've been moving. So can you imagine the amount of jobs and opportunities that have been created around this area for the Kenyan youth? And the young people in Kenya. Look at that, just look at that. Beautiful fabrics. And look at how busy the streets are. What else could keep people busy if it's not business? Look at how beautiful this is. And still more structures that have been erected. This is it. This is the hub of business in Nairobi. I think Somalis are the biggest revenue for this country, because these people are very invested in businesses and creating opportunities for young people as well. What's really thrilling for me, these are mostly Kenyan youth now. They are working in Somali areas. What's really thrilling for me is how the Somali people thrive in doing business and how they do business. Look at all this. Eastleigh, very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. So remember, we're still doing the Nairobi constituency series, and Eastleigh to be particular. So now Eastleigh is not a constituency, but it's a ward under Kamukunji. Kamukunji Constituency is one of the electoral constituencies that I was talking about in Kenya. It is one of the 17 constituencies in Nairobi County. Nairobi is a county on itself that is governed by the governor and also the senator as well. It consists of central to eastern areas of Nairobi, that's Kamukunji, and Kamukunji constituency had a common boundary with Pumwani Division of Nairobi, which is also a ward. The entire constituency is located within Nairobi City County area. So it's within the CBD of the Central Business District area. The constituency, Kamukunji, has an area of 8.80 kilometers squared, which is an equivalent of 3.4 square miles. And it forms part of what is known as Nairobi Central Constituency. In the 1963 elections, this is when that was declared and Kamukunji became part of the Nairobi Central Constituency. Kamukunji was conceived prior to the 1969 elections, that is just slightly after the Kenya got independence, and the current constituency boundaries were revised prior to the 2013 election. The constituency actually borders a couple of constituencies, that is Starehe, where we did the story of Karioko, the guy who does upcycle, and yeah, also what was known as Makadara, now known as Embakasi South. The Embakasi West Constituency also borders it, as well as Mathare Constituency that we're about to cover. So what's interesting about this constituency is predominantly Somali people. And the first, another historical event that happened was the first MP was assassinated in 1969. The first MP is actually from Western Kenya. His name was known as Tom Mboya. He was assassinated in Nairobi. Yeah, during that time, there were a lot of assassinations that were happening in Kenya. After Kenya got independence, a lot of people were being killed by their own people. I mean, Kenyans were killing Kenyans for the colonialists. And this was one of the bright minds that Kenya has ever had in history. So probably it was just intimidating, or rather, he was a threat to the then regime. That's why he was assassinated. There's a whole story into that. Hopefully in future I can get deep into some of the heroes of Kenyans, both unsung and the sung heroes. It has, this constituency has a couple of wards. It's a total of five words actually. We have what is called Bahati. Bahati is a Swahili word that means luck. Then we have Eastleigh. Eastleigh is actually divided into two wards, Eastleigh North and we have Eastleigh South. Then there is Kamukunji, is also a ward. Remember, we also have Kamukunji, the constituency as well. Yeah, so we have Kamukunji Award, which is in Eastleigh. We have Pumwani as well. Eastleigh has actually a total of over 400,000 persons living in this area of 8.80 kilometers squared, as I had mentioned earlier. Interesting thing about Eastleigh actually is it's a business area, and so within Kamukunji constituency our feature was Eastleigh, to be particular, because I find it a very interesting place to actually explore, because one, it is one of the places that is growing rampantly with some of the tallest buildings in Nairobi. And so, why Eastleigh? Eastleigh, for me, I think it's a very interesting area that one is covered by the Somalis, and that really interests me. As we were doing the story of the Nubians, Somalis as well are one of the communities that love enjoy living together. They embrace living together as a community and just being by each other, which also brings about community. So Eastleigh is a mixed used neighborhood in Nairobi. So initially, Eastleigh was originally known for the ancient Asian people before the independence in 1963. And in the recent years, it's actually been dominated by Somali, which is the song that I've been singing all through. And for me, I think Eastleigh is one of the places that anybody who comes to Kenya wants to visit, because of the diversity and culture of the Somali people and how they embrace their culture and religion as well. There are a lot of events that have been happening, especially during the terror attack. This is one of the places that was targeted by the Kenyan police and the security at large, because it was claimed that terrorists would come from Somali or other places and hide in Eastleigh as a community, because it's Somali community, which for me I don't really I have no facts about that, and I can't deny that. I can't really talk much into it, but it's one of the places that is actually known to be very peaceful. Finding a thief or a criminal in Eastleigh is very difficult. Like I said, they live as a community. So Eastleigh as an area actually has a very long and disturbing history with organized police brutality and state violence as well. The police would come here. Like I said, during the terror attacks, this is one of the places that would be targeted by the state and the police in particular. And the Kenyan state versus Eastleigh is it's a replicating shifter, was since the 1963 to the 1967. So I was reading the history, and actually in 1991, during the Siad regime in Somali, over 3,000 Somalis flee to Kenya. As you guys know, there are Somalis everywhere because of the situation that is happening in Somali, and many of them actually linger on their way elsewhere, overseas or as refugee, end up in refugee camps. And then there are a few as well in Mogadishu in Kenya, but most of them also came to Eastleigh to settle there. But I was telling you also initially, the Somalis who were around Eastleigh, a good number of them were actually working as soldiers or guards for the white settlers who had initially come, who were colonialists in Kenya during the mid 90s, early 90s. And so that's how we ended up with Eastleigh, which is now predominantly a small Somali in Kenya, with a beautiful culture, beautiful people, and also beautiful religion. I mean, for me, I think what's really moving for the Somali people is how they stay as a community, how they really preserve their culture, and how they still practice their culture. The other thing that hearsay about the Somali people, I mean, a good number of them are known to be polygamous, and so unreported violence among women is said to be very high. I have no proof about that, but I think women really respect the men, and women, from what I hear, I have no proof about this and no truth about it. Women are actually required to not be speaking where men are speaking.
But we have Somali women who are actually in Kenyan parliament.
This was a very overwhelming series of VAWV. Remember, as we continue doing the constituents, this is Kamukunji Constituency, Eastleigh to be particular, Somali in Kenya. So I really tried to find, like when I started in this video, I told you guys that having Somalis on camera is a very special thing. I really tried. We are headed towards the week of Ramadan, and so we were not able to get any entrepreneur to interview, but maybe in future we get somebody to give us the history of the Somali and the story of the Somali. But that was it. I hope you learned something about Eastleigh and Kamukunji constituency as well, and I hope you're enjoying this series of Nairobi constituency in Eastleigh. But you also saw the many tall buildings that are here in Eastleigh. Up to see you in the next constituents. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here, please remember to hit that subscribe button. If you are a continued supporter, we celebrate and appreciate you as always. Adios. Let's go.